All right, we have some breaking news on this early morning. According to Adam Schefter, the San Francisco 49ers and Colton McKivitz have agreed to a 3-year contract extension, and he will now earn $45 million over the course of this 3-year deal, with $27 million guaranteed. Honestly, I've already seen some of the reactions from this contract. Steal. This is a steal of a deal. Don't let these casuals, and I apologize if this is how you feel about Colton McKivitz. You guys know that on this channel I talk about Colton McKivitz all the time and how he gets he just doesn't get the proper justice when it comes to talking about his impact to the San Francisco 49ers. I understand. I get it. Trust me. I understand. I've never once came on here said Colton McKivitz is a top 10 tackle, anything like that. He doesn't get paid that way. His pay reflects him in the top 15, which is kind of what I've always said about Colton McKivitz. And, you know, it's a spicy topic, but I'll say, I just want to preface this by saying I believe that this is a steal of a deal. This is a great value. The fact that the 49ers were able to lock him up before the season started, and that gets the San Francisco 49ers, Colton McKivitz, on a very comparable deal to Jalen Moore, who signed with the Chiefs to be a backup. So, if you don't recall, Jalen Moore, who was Colton's backup and Trent's backup last season, signed a contract, a 2-year contract with a $15 million per year on average. Dude's not even a starter. That's what they're paying for their backup tackle. So, Colton McKivitz gets, and again, this is a buyer's market for offensive line. Good offensive linemen are so hard to find. That it is such a challenging position, and they don't just grow on trees. And I just think that people's perception of Colton McKivitz, unfortunately, was, tainted a little bit by what Mike McGlinchey had done before. But what people really had a hard time understanding and rationalizing is that for the last 2 seasons now, up until like last year, Colton McKivitz played on a 2-year, $4.6 million contract. That is insane. That is insane to pay a starter that amount of money. And that's why I have always talked about Colton McKivitz in a higher regard, because we do judge these players based on their contracts. How much money are you making? Oh, Brock Purdy's making this, now he's got to do this. Well, it goes in the other way too, on the inverse. It's like Colton McKivitz has been the greatest value on the San Francisco 49ers for the last 2 years now. And we knew he was heading into the final year of his contract. I talked about this back in January when the season ended. And I assumed he was going to be wanting a new contract. I assumed for Colton McKivitz what he was going to do was hit the open market, because I just didn't anticipate that the San Francisco 49ers were going to dole out any more contracts. And as a result of that, Colton was going to put another year in the bank of being a starter. So 3 years at starting right tackle, and then he would have hit the market and he would have cashed out. But it sounds like there was motivation to keep Colton McKivitz in San Francisco. So the 49ers give him a contract, he accepts it, but this is still a value deal. There's value for both sides. Colton McKivitz, again, life-changing money, $27 million guaranteed for a guy who's a 5th-round draft pick, got cut, and then eventually was re-signed and earned his way back into a starting role. So, I mean, this is a good move for Colton. This is a good move for the 49ers, and this is a good move for the San Francisco 49er fans. And I just hope that you guys can just understand that. He has gotten better from year 1 to year 2 significantly. The jump was huge. He worked his tail off this offseason, and I really do believe that he is going to have a much better year. And I mean, even in the game yesterday against Seattle, I don't recall hearing his name called that much for, making mistakes. And I hate that cliche of like, well, I didn't hear his name called, so he must have did good. But that's just unfortunately how it is for me, even when I watch the broadcast, as someone who loves to break down the offensive line and who has broken down every snap of the 49ers offensive line for the last, 4 or 5 years on film. So I've watched a ton of Colton McKivitz. So I feel very confident when I do give my evaluations of Colton, because I watch and I break it down and I run the plays back 3 or 4 times and I watch his technique, and I can see where he's made areas of growth and development. And so that's why I felt that, we were probably going to lose him. We were probably going to lose him for a big time check in free agency. But good for the 49ers, good for Colton McKivitz. And again, I do imagine I'll see some comments talking about, holy L, holy overpay, all those kinds of things. But again, that's just the casual observer who doesn't know much of anything about the market or how to evaluate offensive line play. And just because they deem Colton McKivitz as not being an elite player, somehow he's not any good. But again, you have to have these types of players. Is he having a mid-tier guy who's kind of bumped his way up into potentially being a top 15 tackle, which, if you take into account left tackle, if he's hovering around a top 30 tackle in the NFL, this is a great deal. This is a great contract. It's a great value. And the San Francisco 49ers now don't have to worry about plugging and playing a potential rookie tackle next season. That was my biggest concern, was what are the 49ers going to do at tackle next year? Trent's not getting any younger. If you lose Colton McKivitz, you're going to potentially lose Ben Barch. We don't know how much longer Jake Brendel's going to play. So it was like it appeared that the 49ers were potentially heading into an interesting offseason where they would have to find a new tackle. And I'm sure a lot of fans would be open to that. But again, it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier said than done. It's a challenge to find a starting caliber left tackle that's not a first rounder. Not to say that it can't be done. I mean, look at Colton McKivitz. He's a 5th round draft pick. But it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more development. It's not necessarily always going to be a plug and play. So I think that this is good. I think that I'm happy about it. I think it makes all the sense in the world. It's a value deal, and you get a starter now for 3 more years. Allows you more ample time to start looking and drafting replacements, not having to overdraft and overspend just because. Allows the 49ers flexibility in free agency and in the draft. So I like it. Good move. Thumbs up for me. As probably one of Colton McKivitz's, only defenders on the entire internet. I'm down for it. I'll take it. But you let me know. And again, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me at all. You can have your own opinion. You can have your own take. You can say, Brad, I love you, respect you, don't agree with you. That's fine. Let me know either way in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe.